I'm here to talk about networking, but really this is a conversation about success and confidence and, well, the factors that lead to achieving success. And when I say success, I'm meaning success is defined by you and becoming confident, because confidence is something, well, you work at. It's not something you were born with or have or don't have. Now, we've got 20 minutes in this session to share a lot of information. And my main goal in our 20 minutes together that we have together is to ignite your interest to learn more and to spark you into self-action. And that's what that handout is for. So who am I? I am going to give you a very brief one-line intro. I'm Kelly Hoey. I'm the author of this book, Build Your Dream Network, Forging Powerful Relationships in a Hyper-Connected World. With that brief intro, let's dive into this topic. There are three factors which appear to distinguish successful women from everyone else: focus, grit, and networks. Your individual effort is really important, but equally, your success requires and depends on community. My journey into researching this topic of the networks women need, because this is what we're here to talk about, didn't start with the many times I was asked during the book tour for this book. I was asked many, many times about the differences between how men and women network. But this is not a golf versus spa days conversation. And my interest in this topic didn't begin when I was president of a global business network for women, or when I was building out the women's initiative for an international law firm. Rather, it all started when I was contacted by Good Morning America to give them some commentary on some rather interesting research results from a networking study out of Northwestern University. And this particular social science research was looking at the composition of women's social networks and how it strongly predicted, placement of the women in this leadership program into leadership positions. And that one study, that particular study, toppled me down a rabbit hole of research that, well, I have yet to crawl out of. But there's a definite pattern emerging across a variety of industries and women at different career stages. So from women in MBA programs to women in top roles in higher education, to women entrepreneurs, to women in technology as well. So I want to illustrate how these three factors, essential, and I'm going to stress that, essential for women's success, come into play. I want to talk to you about Dr. Natasha Bahima. Dr. Bahima is a weapons of mass destruction expert. For most of her 20-year career, she has spent her time working for the Department of Defense at the National Defense University. She also spent 3 years at the Pentagon. Now, as an independent consultant on national security issues and the founder of a company, and her company is focused on developing creative content with a nuclear security impact. She's hitting the road. Yeah, you heard that right. Hitting the road for 365 days in a camper with her 2 dogs to visit 65 historical and current sites of the U.S. nuclear weapons complex. It's called Radioactive Road Trippin', R&R for short. It's a travelogue show, and the aim of it is to stimulate conversation and empower action by ordinary people. It is self-funded. She sold her home to make R&R happen. Let's talk about focus and grit. As for networks that I imagine Dr. Bahima is tapping into beyond obvious ones of her work, education, policy, directorships. Plus, if you look at her profile, she's worked in California, DC, Texas, so there's geography. She's had stints at the UN, so there's probably some, global networks. Here's some other networks I imagine she could be, because I don't know Dr. Bahima personally, she could be tapping into to reach her R&R goals. First, there's readers of her fiction book. And I'm going to guess that the network that taps into her skills as an independent consultant on national security issues likely looks a little different than the audience who seeks out her suspenseful, action-packed stories set in the future featuring strong female protagonists. Probably looks a lot different than the Pentagon. Then there is, well, an issues-focused community who has been introduced to her thought leadership and work because of social media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Medium, Twitter. Then let's think about a third network she could be tapping into. Those who have hired her over her 20-year career, plus the funders and foundations she's worked with in the past. Let's also remember there's experts she's collaborated with on those projects. And I did mention she has 2 dogs. So perhaps there's a community of dog owners as well that are going to be paying attention to what she's doing, or maybe what the dogs are up to. Anyway, so I came across Dr. Bahima because of a webinar, and not one I had signed up for. Rather, I was looking over the shoulder of a friend who I was staying with one weekend. She's a brand strategist, and lo and behold, she works with organizations seeking to reshape the conversation around nuclear proliferation. So what's the big women in networking success lesson on all this? First off, you need to be laser focused on what career goals you're pursuing and why you're pursuing them. It's a challenge to pursue anything when you don't really know why you're doing it or you're not fully, passionately committed to it. Your personal career goals could be intensely values-based, like Dr. Bahima, but your goals could be as simple as and important as paying your bills or saving for your first home or second home or qualifying for career retirement. I am not making any value judgments as to the why of your career goal or goals. The point is that clarity of your goal is the fuel for grit, which, as I shared at the beginning of this presentation and this talk, is the second factor in this success factors for women. And grit is the determination to keep going no matter what, because you know what your goal is. Now, as for networks, we all have networks, and our networks have networks. Let me repeat that. We all have networks, and our networks have networks. There are the networks we tap into regularly, and then there's the people we text with frequently. Plus, yeah, let's all admit, there's communities that we have to join because we're told it's good for our career. And what's really essential for all of us as ambitious career women is to look at our networks a little more critically, to ensure that we're not just busy networking, but we have the network structure needed to support our career ambitions. So what is the network structure of successful women? You get a big drum roll here. It's 2 networks that work together in tandem. One is an inner cohort of like-minded women, or predominantly women, who have diverse, non-overlapping networks. The second network is centrality and visibility within larger professional networks. Let's talk about the inner cohort. This is that network that provides insider information based on personal and direct experience. And it's the network that gives you guidance based on relatable and relevant personal experience. Plus, because I said they had to be like-minded and diverse, that inner cohort, they give you, you don't want their network to mirror your network. You gain access to decision makers and opportunities which were previously out of reach through that inner cohort, as they have direct access. That second network is the source of publicly available information that is often far-reaching and disjointed, and it's the network that's filled with pocketed ideas, but you need to be able to reach into that vast range of hidden opportunities. It's the networks that's composed of people you know maybe less well and not so deeply, but they need to know who you are. And you need to be able to quickly access that information to achieve your goals, which is why centrality and visibility within public information flows is essential, and it's what it provides. Let's go back to Dr. Bahima. I strongly suspect there are a few close, trusted friends that she must have reached out to say something along the lines of, am I crazy to sell my home, buy a camper, travel the country, visiting nuclear weapon sites with my 2 dogs to save the earth? She probably had some close girlfriends she talked to about that. And whether crazy or not, she decided to do that, to pursue this. She then must have kicked in her other networks that would have provided connections, suggestions, access, insights, things she hadn't thought of, and then used all the other tools, such as social media, to access all these people. So can you see how these networks kind of weave and work in tandem together? So in the limited rest of the time we have together, I've already shared the link to get you thinking about what are the networks you have, where are you focusing your energy, to get to think some critical, ask some critical questions about where you're spending your networking time and what you're doing. You'll also see in that handout, I've included a link to some original research that I am doing on this topic of the networks women need. And I'd love for you to contribute. It will get you thinking deeply about the network you already have, the ones you're not tapping into, the ones you should be tapping into, and where you can be and should be, get clarity on where you should be expanding your networking focus so that you're doing it in this strategic, smart, focused way that seems to be the hallmark of successful women. That handout also has my contact information. So by doing the survey, downloading that handout, you and I will be able to expand our networks and network together. So there were some of the main things I really wanted to get out in this time, and I see my friend Angel is here, and thank you, Angel, for being here from Maryland. For those who had joined in after I had started the presentation, if you scroll up above Women Tech Support, you'll see the handout. And in doing that, I see Tammy Ellen, TE in New York City. Good morning, how are you? I think we have around 7 minutes together. And I'm just looking at, as I'm pausing, I'm looking at the chat. The survey is, Ruta, the survey is a link in the handout. Let me, and there's a handout again. Thank you very much, Jen. If you go to that PDF handout, you will find a link to the Networks Women Need survey, because this research on the structure of the network that the women are tapping into, not just the busy work of networking, is really intriguing to me. And I kind of look at this like baking a cake. You could just kind of go into your kitchen, grab things out of the shelf, you know, throw it in a bowl, throw it in the oven, and hope you get a cake. Or someone could give you a recipe. And this amazing amount of research that I'm now consuming that, again, it's not confined to one industry. It's not confined to one point in women's careers, but now seeing this across different timelines in different industries, that if this is the recipe for success, or this seems to be the recipe that these women who have become successful have been following, why would we want to follow that recipe to see where our own careers go? So again, I outline in the handout some of the factors you should be thinking of, and then there is this link to a survey to really get you thinking about your own networking. Thank you, Diamond. I so appreciate putting the survey. Yeah, the survey is the survey link, Anna, was in the handout. So get both of those things. Are there, Tammy and Angel both know me well and know a lot of the networking and things I talk about, but in the 5 minutes we have remaining, questions, comments, yes, Marie Kondo, your commitments. Listen, everyone write down your big career goal. Like, and your career goal, you might have like climbing Everest. There is the big goal at the top, but if you've ever read anything about climbing Everest, you don't just get to base camp and go to the top. There's a lot of other goals in between. With your career goals, write down your career goals and really put your commitments through a hard analysis of whether they help you reach that goal. When someone suggests to you, hey, you should join this group or you should attend this, ask questions, ask why, filter through to see whether or not those commitments, conferences, committees, you take the list, ladies, you know what takes your time. Ask how it assists in your goal. Is it giving you information? Is it giving you access to critical stakeholders? Is it, attaching you and committing you to others who are on this similar career journey that you can help and have that peer support? You only have so much time in a day and days in the week, so really having that strategic focus, which is not being Machiavellian, which is not being smarmy networking, it is being smart. And when you're smart with your networking choices, you're being considerate and you are a better networker. But your network structure for all of you is really, really critical. Fantastic. Charis, I'm really glad you're looking forward to diving into the handout. And that handout has my contact information. So I don't even need to say to you, hey, connect with me over here. You know how to reach me. And I am more than happy to direct you to resources, make suggestions besides the things I share on my website, through my Twitter account, through my other social accounts, and all the rest of it. And Angel, that you're here. Angel, I'm sorry, I don't even know when your session is during the Women Tech Global Conference. And my friend, I would appreciate very much if you would put that in the chat as well so people know where they can find your amazing advice, which I have personally benefited. Gladys, thank you for filling out the survey. Anna, do I have guidance on any guidelines for yourself whose LinkedIn requests you accept? Listen, we all use LinkedIn in different ways in terms of when we throw, sort of like an accordion, when we throw it wide and when we close it in. So first of all, realize how you use LinkedIn may not be how someone else uses LinkedIn. The second thing is, I would say as a personal matter, if someone reaches out to me and they do not personalize the message, I don't even give it any consideration. I just hit delete. And when I say a personal message, it does not need to be long. It could be as simple as, I really appreciated the comments you made at the Women Tech Global Conference, blah, blah, blah. Like having some kind of connection there. Or, hey, I heard you also speak at this conference. I'm just using myself as an example. So it might be you. I think everybody else has been okay with hearing me. And so it might be your computer, which I'm very frustrated for you if that is the case. Diamond, you're going to get a bunch of surveys over the next few weeks to analyze your networking. And for those who have completed the survey in the survey series in the future, you're going to jump ahead, and there's going to be a little, jewel box surprise, little Easter egg there for me of ways that we can personally get in touch and you can share your networking feedback. But back to Anna's question on LinkedIn, and I see we're at time. Personalize your message. make that real human connection. And you personally decide, Anna, where you are in your career right now, the types of connections that you feel are going to be the best ones for your career. Do you need to throw your network open wider so that more people know what you're doing and create opportunities, or are you important in your career, or a position that you're like, yeah, no, I need to keep this a little tighter? It's your personal choice. This has been a pleasure, everyone. There's more sessions starting soon, which, yeah, that's rude. That's how I keep things. That's how I keep things interesting in terms of people connecting. So anyway, more sessions starting. You've got the handout. You know how to reach me. It has been an absolute pleasure presenting here for Women Tech Global Conference. Wish we had more time together, but fill out that survey and we will. And go forth and conquer. And I wish you all the best in your career.